As we head closer to Ethiopian New Year coming up on Thursday, there's a couple of issues I want to discuss today. At the top of the list is the ongoing strife that's taking place in Ethiopia and within the quote-unquote diaspora. I really don't like to use the word diaspora because it's a source of division between Ethiopians that live back home and Ethiopians who live around the world. We are one people. And in fact, that is the common core of what's going on, the issues that's kind of festering and creating a lot of conflict within our country. It's the source of divisiveness or the divides that's taking place between various communities within Ethiopia and beyond. And I use the word community for a reason. The very word of tribe or tribalism induces tribalism. Our country survived for 3,000 plus years because there was a common element of Ethiopianism. This element of Ethiopianism or Ethiopiawinet has been furthered away for a very long time and is coming to a head in the past year. It's really been taking place for the past 27 years, ever since ethnic, they call it ethnic federalism, but really it's nothing more than ethnic apartheid was implemented for the very, sake of dividing and ghettoizing Ethiopians among ethnicities. Let me just say from the outset, the issues that are feeding ethnic conflict in Ethiopia are not to be dismissed. There are, in fact, various communities, again, I use the word community for a reason, that have felt the pain of being otherized, excluded, and marginalized over the decades and centuries within Ethiopian history. And this is not to be dismissed. And this is not necessarily to say that any one quote-unquote tribe is responsible for this. But we should listen to each other and we should not dismiss the various pains people might feel. The problem becomes when these pains are trying to be monopolized and various demagogues are being propagated to the forefront to not necessarily to have conversations with the intention of healing, but to try to pit one against the other. And so this is what's taking place in Ethiopia right now. The pains that Oromo people feel are not to be dismissed or poo-pooed, but at the same token, you can't pivot and say that all Amaras are responsible for this, or that all Tigrays are responsible for this. Every community has felt the heat of being impoverished or being looking on the outside. The quote-unquote elites that have reigned at the top of various tribes at different times within Ethiopian history did not necessarily mean that people that belonged in that quote-unquote tribe felt the privilege of being in the ruling class. But yet this is exactly how some would like us to believe these days. And for the most part, it's the group that's being vilified are the Amaras and being targeted for somehow as if one group reigned for a long time. But by the way, I was against this type of mischaracterization for the past 27 years when all Tigray people were being vilified for the sins of the TPLF. The sins of a few cannot be cast on many. And this is not only immoral, it does nothing to actually address the core issues that a lot of people are upset about. But yet that's exactly what's taking place. And sadly, some people think that the way to answer tribalism or Zernanet is with more tribalism. And so now you have more and more people that are running to their defensive corners and turning towards ethno-nationalism, ethnocentrism. And what's being lost in the process is the core element of Ethiopiawinet, which, by the way, enabled us to defeat, or our forefathers to defeat would-be colonizers at Ottawa, and enabled us to repel fascists during the 1930s. This is what people on the outside, foreign interlopers, realized a long time ago, that Ethiopians could not be subjugated on the battlefield, so then they had to defeat us through dividing us. It's the divide and conquer. And in order to do this, outside institutions came, rushing into Ethiopia. And the most brilliant way that they're able to accomplish this is by propagating voices of antipathy, voices of anger and indifference to the top. So let me not mince words here. People like Jawar Muhammad, did not get a blue check mark on Twitter by mere happenstance. Did not become the most influential voices just because he was charismatic enough. People like him get access to mainstream media for a reason, because people that are able to incite anger are doing the work of outsiders who are enriching themselves at the cost of our disunity. And that's what's taking place in Ethiopia right now. And it might feel good to be angry and bitter, and to try to vilify some, and to be tribal in nature. But at the core, this is not a political warfare that's taking place in Ethiopia. This is a spiritual warfare. This is the same element of separatism that Satan used to divide Adam and Eve from God. When demonic forces preach that your pains are different from other people's pains, it's a way of balkanizing and sectionalizing people in society, so that we could fight amongst each other instead of realizing that we're all in this together. The pains of Amaras, the pains of Oromos, the pains of Tigray, Sidama community, Somali. When it comes to hardships, and when it comes to poverty, when it comes to hunger, these things don't differentiate based on our ethnic differences, or linguistic differences, or religious differences. They come for all. But some would rather have us fight amongst each other. It's not the average Amhara that's struggling in Addis Ababa, or the average Oromo that is struggling to feed his family, or the average Tigray person who's striving every day to take care of his or her children. That is implementing policies that's impoverishing all. The common core of everything is a few that are enriching themselves at the cost of the many. But the brilliant byproduct of tribalism is that it gets us to fight each other, the people that are struggling, whether in Ethiopia or outside of Ethiopia, instead of realizing that we can make a difference by coming together. So I'm kind of introducing this as I'm going to try to do this once every other week or so, to talk about these things in a way that's unifying. Because, and I'm not saying that I'm the only one doing this. By the way, we wrote about Obang a couple of days ago, who has been a voice of unity. And I'm hoping that more and more Ethiopians decide to put away our differences, and to speak against tribalism, and realize that what is needed the most is our unifying voices. In fact, the video that you're going to see next is kind of a mashup that I put together over Abiti's song. And if you listen to the words, it's beautiful. She's talking against Zarin and Net, against about love that transcends our differences. So that's what I hope. I hope more and more people, more and more Ethiopians, and throughout the world, really, what you see evidenced, and the politics of identity politics, the politics of grievances, is the spirit of hatred, of resentment, of bitterness, and these things don't do anything other than put you even further into the abyss of loneliness. If you try to take on injustice by saying just me, all you're gonna have is yourself listening, and nobody else is gonna listen to you. Why should they? Because you're dismissing the pains of other people. The only way that we could, Martin Luther King a long time ago said that the only way to, eventually history is going to bend towards the arc of justice. The only way that's going to bend towards the arc of justice is if we walk in together and believe in inclusive justice, not exclusive justice. All right, so here's to Andinet, not the political Andinet, but the spiritual Andinet, the oneness, the unity that enabled us to become a nation amongst nations. And if Ethiopia is going to return back to that greatness, it will be once we realize that that the fate of one is dependent on the fate of all, and that the only way that we could get rid of inequality, of the strife of poverty and hopelessness, is if we all hold hands together and walk towards a path of unity and a path of solidarity, and realizing that our commonalities. I was interviewing Marcia Dyson a long time ago. She said that humanity has a commonality of pain. So our commonalities of pains and our commonalities of hope are greater than the petty differences that we have. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. And if I want to talk to you before then, have a happy new year. Happy Enkutatash. Welcome Enkutatash. By the way, on September 12th, this year's Enkutatash is on September 12th. Here in the district of the DMV, as we call it, the District of Virginia metro area. The district metro area. We actually were able to reach out to the city of Alexandria mayor, and he's going to proclaim September 12th as Enkutatash Ethiopian Recognition Day. So this is how we could not only be recognized for our contributions, but how we can make a difference by focusing on Ethiopia and by focusing on what we have in common. That's how we could make a difference politically in terms of being recognized as one community instead of diminishing our voices by fighting amongst ourselves. Economically, by working through through collaboration instead of competing against each other. And spiritually, how we could heal is by realizing that love overcomes all, and that we are of the same blood, the same bond, and the same God, and we're all children of God. All right, thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.
ፍቅር እግዚአብሔር ነው መርቆ የሰጠኝ መርቆ የሰጠኝ አትዘን አታስብ ይለዩናል ብለህ ይለዩናል ብለህ እኔ ብሶብኛል ና ጭንቀቱን ጥለህ ና ጭንቀቱን ጥለህ እኖራለሁ እንጂ ክፉ ሞት ይመስል ይልቅ ዝም ብለን እንኑር ተፋቅረን ዘር አንመራመር ዝምድና እንዳይኖረን የጓጀን ካንዱ ያለ ያየን ለሌላው ያጨን ለሌላው ያጨን አዳም ግን ያለ ሐረግ ምን ቆጥር ሐረግ ምን ቆጥር ጽድቅ ሆነ ብንሞት ለፍቅር ብንሞት ለፍቅር ይበልጣል የማይጠቅም ዘመድ ኖሮ ምን ያመጣል ከፍቅር በላይ ምን ዳኛ ይመጣል እንደ ሰው በዘራ ወዳጁን ያጣል ላይ ዘልቁ መውደድ ላይ ጽድቁ መስገድ ፍቅር ብቻ ነው የእውነት መንገድ